My track record at running businesses, 100% failure in startups. I am nothing special. I haven't got a university degree. I just applied myself. Over the course of about 18 months, we built a group of businesses that turned over 16 million quid.
What's your background, and at what point did you say to yourself, buying a business sounds like a great idea?
Well, Jonathan, I'm kind of one of those statistics, unfortunately. Is it something like 90% of startups fail?
Well, yeah, quite possibly. Yeah,
well,
most of them.
100% of my startups did. So, effectively, always wanted to do my own thing. Always wanted to run my own business. You know, I'm not somebody with a polished business career. So, literally, I started off as a rookie. I really did, and you know, I'd been in employment. You know, I hadn't kind of had any success behind me as such, and I just followed what you kind of told us to do. And you know, I'm not an expert at finance. I'm not an expert at managing sales teams. I'm not an expert at marketing. You know, no experience of this stuff. And I think when you're in startup mode, probably because you don't have a great deal of funds, you know, you're everything. And, you know, and you just become fatigued. And, you know, I tried everything. I tried 5 or 6 different things. And I think just because it was me, no experience, it didn't work. And then, as I said, started consuming your content and looking at kind of some reviews from past students and things like that you had on YouTube, and you're thinking, do you know what? This sounds like a shortcut. The thing is, I just couldn't get my head around why someone would sell their business to me for no money up front, over a deferred period, why someone would do that. And I now know why someone would do that. Because I've probably had conversations with hundreds of business owners since working with you, and I haven't done hundreds of deals. I've done a good amount of deals, but, probably about, over 100 business owners. And everyone's reason for exiting is their own. They're different, but they do follow certain themes. And you discussed this on Mastermind, people are just tired. They just had enough, no succession planning, ill health. There's a number of things. And sometimes a business just needs, it's like buying a rundown house, just needs a fresh lick of paint,
yes,
new eyes, and then you breathe life back into it. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so I'll, again, and I promise you, you've not given me something to say before I've kind of come in to see you today.
No.
But what you said on Mastermind was, buy a small business. Typically, you're going to buy yourself a job because it just doesn't have the infrastructure to support management teams, etc. My first acquisition was an asset purchase. I think it was about £55,000. There was 2 staff. It didn't even turn over 150,000.
Okay.
I gave that business away because it was just an absolute bloody headache. I was spending probably a good part of my week, 30 hours a week, on this piddly little thing over here, and it was just problem after problem after problem. And again, I seem to have to do everything the hard way. I do it the way my head tells me because I'm fearful actually of change. I'm fearful of, I just thought that I couldn't speak to a business owner that turned over £1 million or something like that, and they'd be prepared to sell.
So these are limiting beliefs, aren't
they?
they?
Yeah. 100%.
So these are things that we tell ourselves, which actually do limit ourselves. We don't realise they limit ourselves.
They do.
And it takes someone else often to point it out and say, do you realise, Adam, that you're in this cycle here. You're stuck in this cycle where you do the same thing again and again. Yeah. But if you did this differently, you'd get a different result.
And that's it. And sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but again, on Mastermind, a mirror's held up to you. Do you know what I mean? And as I was saying, so bought this little tiddly business, and it was just like, why am I doing this? And I remember you weren't talking to me, but you were talking to somebody else on Mastermind. You were like, why don't you just go for something bigger? And you were 100% right. It takes exactly the same amount of effort to buy something big as it does small. And actually, when you buy something bigger, you're probably not going to have the headaches that come with a smaller business. So in answer to your question, first one, very small, and it was just a pain. Everything thereafter has kind of been your 500,000s. And then I kind of edged up to about 1 million, edged up to about 2 million. And, over the course of about 18 months, we built a group of businesses that in the insolvency sector, which I was operating in, that turned over 16 million quid.
If you want to find out how to buy a business successfully, get your free business buying toolkit. The link is in the video description below.
I am nothing special. I haven't got a university degree. I'm certainly not the that, you know, come out of school kind of like an entrepreneur and never ran a tuck shop and turned it into a bloody, you know, enterprise like Richard Branson. You know, just I think you know, I just applied myself, and
yes.
And Jonathan, I was, for the first 3 months of working with you, 4 months. Sorry, no, first 3 months, I did nothing, and you know, it's that old adage, isn't it? Insanity is the act of doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different result.
So what was the turning point then? So 3 months of inactivity, watching, listening to other people.
Yeah.
What was the turning point that made you say, I've now got to do this?
Well, it was coming to Mastermind, sitting down on the chair, and somebody that's been on the same enrolled on the course the same time as me. Next thing you know, he's just bought a business for £1 million with no money down. You know, and just kind of telling people like me, you can do it, but you've got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very simple words, but sometimes very hard to implement. And
so it's interesting. So, you know, maybe sometimes it is as straightforward as saying to someone, come on, you can do this. This is what you need to do. Go away and do it, and I'll see you next month.
Yeah. And it's all theory up until that point.
Yes.
And I think that's a great analogy. And, you know, it's very much like sink or bloody swim. And, you know, you're on the phone with a business owner that's seen your letter. Something's going on because they're calling you. And, you know, the only way I found that I could kind of hone and refine this is by doing.
Yes.
And like I said, the first 20 calls were horrendous. Now they're not so bad. You're going to get some people that probably are just going to time waste. They feel their business is worth £10 million, but it only turns over 100,000, and you're going to get them. And it's just, I suppose, the key to it is very quickly getting a system in place that's yours, based on kind of what you've taught, that you can identify if someone's serious or not. If they're serious, we move them to the next stage.
Yes.
If not, thanks very much, Jonathan. Great to speak to you. Don't think we can do a deal, but if you know anybody else that potentially wants to sell the business, please send them our way. And, you know, when I was kind of when I kind of made my first acquisition, it was on the back of, you know, the COVID wave. So it was, you know, it was a good time to potentially start to acquire businesses. And again, now, you know, we're on the back of a cost of living crisis. You know, raw materials going up, utilities going up, fuel going up. Massively impact businesses, their bottom line. Now is a perfect time.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? And if you can't buy a business now, you'll never be able to buy one.
Buying a business is a roller coaster, which is why you need a lawyer who knows what he is doing. So why not use mine? His name is John Andrews, and you can find his contact details below this video.
And the thing is, what I've learned is in the acquisition space, you know, in what you teach is we're here to solve a business owner's problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the majority of people we speak to, we cannot solve their problem. But, you know, 5% of the people that we speak to, we can. And, you know, we're in the business of helping people. That's how I see it. Helping them and helping ourselves as well. And, you know, what we need to get our head around is the majority of people that we speak to, we won't buy their business.
Yes.
Small percentage we potentially will.
Yes.
And we're actually doing them a favour. We're helping them achieve something that they want to achieve. And they're doing it on the terms that we are happy to buy on.
Yes.
So it's win-win. And the thing is, it's like, you know, I say it's a difference between belief and faith. Like, so today, I have faith I can do this. You know, I believe this works in the early days. I believe it works because you've done it. And a load of people in the Mastermind, they've done it. And unless you're paying 50 actors to turn up every month, and I'm the only one that's on your course, which you're not, by the way, you know, people are doing it. So I believe they're doing it.
Yes.
But I just don't think I can.
Yes.
And what I had to get to over a period of time was, I believe it can be done, but I also have faith that I can do that. And you know, that's kind of where I'm at today. That's the next level.
Which is the next level after Mastermind. For people who've bought a business, it's no longer how do I do it? It's how do I do it better? How do I do it faster? How do I do it bigger? How do I raise larger amounts of finance? How do I integrate businesses? Because that can be tough.
And you know, most of the problems that I have faced kind of post-acquisition is around people and getting this group of people here to work with this group of people here. It's a nightmare. if not done right. And I think for us, we learnt the hard way here, because one of our acquisitions that we did very early on, it was an amazing business. It was really well run. Output was great. As soon as the owners left and we took over, it just bloody nosedived, because the magic wasn't there. The owners were the magic. They were the glue that held the thing together.
Yeah, they never told you that, did they?
Never told us that. Yeah. And the hardest deal you'll ever do is your first.
Very true.
The second hardest is your second, and then from 3, it kind of it's habitual. Jonathan's on the phone. Hi, Jonathan. Take you through the questions. Thanks for your time, Jonathan. Right, Jonathan. I'm just got to ask you a little bit about this, a little bit about that. And you just have a conversation, and very quickly you can ascertain after your third deal. Is this a goer? Is the guy a time waster? Or is he serious? And yes. Is this something we want to actually take on? Jonathan, I'll tell you now. My track record at running businesses, we've already discussed. 100% failure in startups. And, one thing I'm very good at, I think, getting people enthused,
yes.
Picking the right talent, getting them enthused about what we're about to do. But, people that are good operators, I work very well with those people. So I'm very good at bringing teams together. And the thing is, around us now, we've got a really good team. I've got a guy called Terry that works with me, amazing operationally. But, Terry by his own admission, Terry does not like going out speaking to business owners, trying to get business owners interested in selling.
Sure.
He'll
run the operations
100%.
of the business.
And when we get to due diligence, he's an accountant, he's an FD, he's been COO of massive companies. He's brilliant for that. I'm very personable with the owner. But once as he calls it, the crap has been done. That's what he calls it. Once that's been done, and we've got someone that's serious, over to Terry then. And I turn up at these meetings, and I'll have a cup of tea and have a chat. And it's again, I was talking to my partner about this, and Tom was saying, so let me just ask you a question. He said, because this doesn't sound right. Is this the case? He was like, so you buy a business effectively on a buy now, pay later, and you're paying yourself a consultancy payment or a salary from day dot, and it's usually kind of somewhere around 6 figures. He was like, and the old owner is okay with that? I was like, well, one, the old owner isn't there because we've done this deal and they're now in the Caribbean or playing golf or spending time with the grandkids or whatever, and that's kind of what happened. And he's like, it just sounds too good to be true. I was like, doesn't it? But it's true.
So when people watch this and listen to this, they often are sitting on the fence and they say, do I do this? What would you say to those people? Because they're in the position that you were in 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I would ask them, look back 12 months ago. Were you having the same conversation with yourself last January? Okay. Tick, you were. What have you done in the last 12 months to change your life? If it's nothing, then again, it's that insanity thing, isn't it? Doing the same thing repeatedly, expecting a different result, is the definition of insanity. Just do. So, it's like I've said before, if you can, you can. If you can't, you can't.